Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 55 of the Sam Hossing Media Podcast. A very special guest today from the Yukon women's hockey team. She's won 2 gold medals with Team USA at the under 18s and scored a golden goal in overtime in 2016. Please welcome Natalie Snodgrass.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into things here, Natalie. First of all, we're still in the middle of a pandemic of COVID-19. So how are things going for you right now?
They're good. They're starting to get back to normal here. Things are completely open in Minnesota, so that's kind of refreshing to come home to. I know my teammates are not as lucky as me in Canada, but I'm hoping that the borders open soon so I can see some of them this summer.
Now we'll jump right in the hockey side of things. At what age did you start playing, and when did you know it was a sport for you?
I think I started skating when I was 3. I'm the youngest of 2 other siblings, and my dad kind of coached us all throughout youth hockey. So I didn't really have a choice if I wanted to play or not. I think I knew that it was the sport for me when I didn't like running in soccer or, um, I tried like gymnastics and I just knew that wasn't like a long-term deal. So I think I just kind of stuck it out with hockey.
Now you kind of mentioned gymnastics there, but did you play any other sports as a kid, or were you just strictly into hockey?
Yeah, so I played like traveling soccer when I was growing up. I think I stopped that at like 7th or 8th grade. I think I just the demand of and the commitment of it was just too much with hockey and like traveling to all over the Midwest, and I just kind of made the executive decision to put all my time and effort in hockey, and I think I made the right decision.
Now, growing up in Minnesota, which is the state of hockey, were the Wild your kind of NHL team, and was it cool? Or how cool was it to go to Minnesota Wild games as a kid?
Yeah, I loved it. Playing in the state of hockey obviously kind of gives you a leg up with just how far along we are with like girls and youth development. So it was really cool just being, with girls your age and your skill level. I know a lot of people in the East Coast have to play on boys' teams or they can't play in their high school team. So we're really lucky and fortunate to have that option. As for wild games, I love going to the XL Center downtown. I think my favorite was going to their outdoor classic. They played at, uh, I think they play at Minnesota, the Minnesota's football stadium. So I don't know if I have that right, but I went to that in high school with my high school hockey team, and we skated after the game actually, and that was really cool.
Now, you attended Eastview High School. Take us through your years there and being the school's all-time leading scorer.
I love playing for Eastview. I think part of that was just because I grew up with those girls. We played soccer together. We went to middle school and high school together. So I think just having, the same group of girls for 6 years was like just icing on the top. I loved going to hockey every day just to see those girls and spend another hour with them. My coach, Herb Harvey, still like we still are in contact with his family. We're really good family friends. Eastview was just my glory days, I loved it there. I think being the all-time scorer, like you mentioned, I think I have a really competitive edge, and I knew my sister had a lot of records before she graduated. So I think I just always had the mindset that I had to beat her.
Now, before we get into UConn, obviously you're 2 years playing for the under 18 team for Team USA. So 2015 and 2016 gold medals at both those tournaments. So take us through, first of all, the first tournament, how it kind of went, and the moment you saw your name on a USA hockey jersey. How special was that?
Yeah, it was really special. I think it hit me when I first saw my jersey hanging up in a locker room stall, just because at Eastview we didn't really have our own rink, so we never had our own locker. So I was like, wow, this is like such special treatment because I got a locker. But having, that jersey with my name on it and with USA on the front and just representing that is just it's like so surreal. It's such a privilege and an honor. And every time I get to wear it, you're just brought back to all those memories. I think the first time I was in that world's tournament, I kind of had a smaller role. I didn't really get a lot of ice time. I was more of, the better teammate and cheering on the other girls, the older girls. But regardless, when Jinsey Dunn scored that, I think, overtime goal, like everyone had their role and we all earned that gold medal together. So being a part of that was like my awakening to USA hockey. And, ever since then, I just wanted more and more. And so that second year, 2016, I knew that I wanted like a bigger role and to, get back on top. So yeah, I had a little bit of luck. I remember scoring a few goals in that tournament. But the best one was obviously that overtime goal to get us the gold. So that was a really cool moment in my career.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned there, you exploded for 6 goals in 5 games in that second tournament. But I mean, that sixth goal has got to be the biggest one. So take us through the play and what was going through your head as soon as the puck went in the net.
That goal, as big of a moment as it was not pretty whatsoever. It was the epitome of like right place, right time. I just remember Caleb Barnes, my defenseman, shot it from the point, and I wasn't even screening. I was like kind of on the back door, and it literally just the rebound just was right on my stick, and all I had to do was just knock it in the net. So I succeeded, and I didn't really even know what happened in my mind. I was like, I think we just won. I think it's I think it's over. I just remember my teammates like screaming, so I like started screaming and I threw my gloves, and next thing I knew I just couldn't breathe at the end of that dog pile. So it was pretty awesome.
Now you got to do something not a lot of girls have done. You've won 2 gold medals back to back with USA Hockey. Take us through standing on the blue line with a gold medal around your neck both times. How cool is that? Just belting out the USA anthem.
Yeah, it's what you go to that tournament for. To be with your teammates on that blue line. Luckily I've never been on the other side of it, but winning gold is, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. It's like one of the best feelings in the world. Nothing compares to it, especially with being with that group of girls that, you don't really play with that often. And, you're there for like 2 weeks, but the chemistry you build and the friendships you make are just so strong. And to celebrate with them, it's amazing.
Now, we won't get too much into it, but from some research, the 2017 World Championship, you turned down the offer. So just kind of explain that situation as you were standing up for some of other USA hockey players.
Yeah, so 2017 was kind of an odd year. I think the gender pay gap was really apparent, and we kind of wanted to emulate what the national soccer team was doing because they recently stood up for equal pay as well and equal, gender equality just in general. So the 2017 World Championships were just very controversial for our national team because they didn't want to play and represent something that just wasn't right. So I remember, a lot of girls got asked, like, I think I heard that even like some D3 or some club hockey players even maybe got asked, which is nothing wrong, but I think they were just so desperate for players. But it was very unique and very overwhelming that so many girls, regardless if they were in the USA program or not, turned down that offer, which not a lot of people want to, for something bigger than ourselves. So I think the message was received, and I think ever since then it's been a lot better.
Now we'll get into UConn now. Take us through the process of committing. And your sister actually played there from 2011 to 2015. So was that something that kind of really helped in your decision?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I was like in 8th grade, ninth grade, young uh, player, like getting into the recruiting. Um, I just kind of remember just visiting my sister, like going to college, watching her hockey games. I didn't really think anything of, the campus, but through the years, I grew familiarity with it. And um, when Coach Mack and Coach Handerhan stepped in as the new staff, um, I got to know them and got to meet them and understand like their coaching styles and stuff. So I think just having that comfortability with UConn, right from the jump, I think that was just very calming for me in my recruiting process because it is an overwhelming and stressful process as, a freshman in high school because I'm just trying to get used to high school and here I am needing to pick a college. So I think just having that in the back of my head was definitely a helpful, uh, little helpful thing to get me to UConn.
Absolutely. Well, obviously your sister being there for 4 years, so I'm sure you saw the locker room when she was there. But talk about walking in as a UConn player the first time and seeing your last name on the jersey.
Yeah, it kind of was full circle. I remember like snapping a picture to my sister, even though I didn't really want to follow in her footsteps. That's not really what I did. And a lot of people think that like, oh, it's like a Snodgrass thing to go to UConn and go to like wherever she went. That's not really what happened. She had her own story and I kind of wanted to form my own story. So I remember being, very like connected to her when I saw my jersey for the first time and wearing the Yukon Husky on my chest. But I knew that I wanted to do it like my way and have my own college experience. So I was grateful that she kind of blazed the trail, but I think I did a really good job in keeping it my own way.
Now, take us through your first NCAA game. Who was it against, and what were the nerves going through your head walking onto the ice?
Yeah, so my first actual college game was in Minnesota against St. Cloud State, which was extremely lucky. I don't think a lot of people from the East Coast get to go home for their first game. So, my parents, my aunts and uncles, my family friends, my school friends, like I had so many people come and watch me play in my first game, which was just so special. I love seeing them in the stands. I can't even remember the details of that game, but for some reason, I scored the game-winning goal, which was my first goal, obviously. Um, so having to celebrate with not only my team, but like my family after, that was like that's such a special goal for me.
Now we'll get into your favorite road trip during your time at UConn, and I'm probably guessing it's going to be right back to St. Cloud State for that first game.
Yeah, St. Cloud State, that's such a good one. But honestly, I think some of the best road trips are just like ones that are unexpected. Like if we go to New Hampshire or Vermont for the weekend, we stay in hotels. Like my team is so funny that like even the stupidest things are so memorable. Like I remember like if we're out of town and we're getting our key cards for our rooms, everyone like hides their number and everyone takes the stairs because you don't want other people knowing what room you are because like you're gonna get pranked on. So I remember telling people we were in like room 205 and we like took the elevator, but then we took the stairs up to room 4 or like level 4 where we were, and then we would like watch people come and yeah, it's just so dumb. But being with my team is like the best experience, and I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Now you mentioned there in New Hampshire. You're obviously from Minnesota, so going into UNH, your first game there, when they throw the fish on the ice after a first goal, what were you thinking when that happened?
Um, yeah, I've definitely seen nothing like it. New Hampshire has some crazy fans. I know that they always got people with cowbells, and this year they had a lot of like handmade signs that were just like very surprising. I remember I remember being like UConn is a basketball school. So there's definitely like a rivalry there. I think the goal of that game not only is to win, but is to make sure they don't score so they can't throw that fish. But it's a funny tradition. You can't help but kind of give a chuckle if it happens just because it's so bizarre.
Now, obviously, over your years, it probably changed a little bit, but how easy was it to kind of balance school and being able to play hockey during a semester?
Yeah, so figuring out that was pretty tough as a freshman. But I think everyone kind of figures it out. You go through your first semester and you're like, this is college. I need to go to class. I need to study for class. I need to, go to practice and then study more. So, um, just kind of figuring out that was a challenge. But again, luckily, I have teammates that were in all my gen eds as, an underclassman. So we studied together. We did study hall hours, all that good stuff. So having help, it definitely is like my Lord and Savior from my teammates because I don't think I could do it alone.
Now we'll go into this year, obviously completely different with the COVID season, and I know you guys had games canceled during the season. So how did you guys kind of adapt going into a weekend, not knowing if you were going to play or not?
Yeah, this year was very frustrating and challenging, to say the least. Um, it was really odd because, not to brag or anything, but my team, never got COVID. We never had a positive case, never had to like forfeit a weekend. So it was never like on us. If we got games canceled or switched around, it was because like other teams. And, having just that like build up of, oh my gosh, we get to play this weekend, and then just like having it taken away is like just it's so disappointing, because everyone waited like 2 months to even have a season, and then all the people only just want to play. I know we're kind of sick of practicing, for so long. But I mean, we were so fortunate to even get some games in. So that's kind of how we looked at it. If we got to play that weekend, it was like such a blessing. And like, just we were so thankful to be, competing. Um, so I know we just handled, we handled COVID this year on a day to day basis. Like we stayed safe. We did, what we were supposed to do. And at the end of the week, if we got to play, like we were ready. And if we didn't, we were like, kind of day by day again. That's how it kind of worked out.
Now, this year you were one of the captains on the team, so you obviously had a bunch of the younger girls listening to you for advice and stuff. So, what kind of advice were you giving them in a COVID year where you didn't really know if you guys were going to play or not?
That's a good question. I think I think this is like such a weird year. My freshmen probably were scared of me because I was definitely like, don't leave your dorm rooms, don't hang out with other girls, don't socialize. But no, I'm just kidding. I think my best advice was just, again, like stay safe, stay smart. Obviously new freshmen are going to want to socialize, like make new friends, and that's what college is about, and that's what you should be doing. But it's just so, it's so weird. I don't even know if I can give proper advice because I don't know. Like, yeah, my freshmen were really good this year. Obviously, we didn't have a case. They figured it out. I just think my best advice, obviously, for them was to just kind of stick through it because with COVID, we didn't really get to go home. We got 4 days at Christmas, and people were just really bummed with that. And hockey was just really overwhelming and tiring, and they just kind of wanted a break. So I think the upperclassmen, uh, sorry, I'm like really thinking about this. I think our upperclassmen was just kind of a big help with them, just kind of sticking out the hard days and just kind of getting through it. So hopefully this next year will be better. We'll have a normal year, but you never know. So
Now heading into September, obviously everyone's got their fingers crossed that the season goes normally and there's no COVID involved, no restrictions and everything. So what's the best advice you can give to the freshman class coming into UConn next year?
Yeah, I think it would be to be flexible and to be adaptable. Uh, they obviously weren't here going through the college experience with COVID, but they went through their senior years of high school with COVID. So, it's nothing new. Everyone was affected by it, but college hockey is kind of a different ball game with COVID. Obviously, every sport has its challenges with it, but I think my advice for the freshmen would just be ask questions, have an open mind, because they didn't get an official visit. They haven't seen the campus in a really long time. So, um, yeah, I just hope that they're mindful and still excited to come to school, which we're happy to have them.
Now, what's your favorite all-time memory at UConn? And from what I know, in your freshman year, you guys knocked off Boston College in the Hockey East tournament. So how cool was that?
Yeah, you took my memory out of my mouth. Yeah, no, it was. I think that might have been like my favorite game ever. I think we were just such underdogs in that game, and like everyone expected it to be a blowout. But I think it was my team's like third time getting to the hockey tournament. So we were kind of there like as first timers, I think like as a collective unit, like freshmen, sophomore, seniors, like I don't think I've ever been there. So I think we all just kind of went into it just like screw it. Like let's just go down swinging basically, which is a horrible mindset to have. But we had nothing to lose basically. And it worked out in the best. Knocking off BC is like something to laugh about these days because I think they're easily our biggest rival. So doing that in that setting was like incredible.
Now, during your time at UConn, you finished third all-time in goals and points. Probably a stat you might not have known of, but just talk about being able to have that to your name.
Yeah, I did not know that. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, again, it kind of goes back to what I said about blazing my own trail. Obviously, I kind of wanted to leave my mark on UConn. Um, I know that I have to attribute a lot of that success to girls that I've played with over the years, like Catherine Crawley, Brie Colangelo, Morgan Wabick. Like all those girls are just so instinctively good at hockey. And I've just, in high school, it's not the best competition, but like college, it just kind of like humbles you to be like around such good players. So, they obviously are a big factor in those statistics. Um, but yeah, honestly, I'm happy that I get one more year to kind of climb those rankings, and we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. So right now, for franchise all-time points, you sit third behind Dominique Thibault and Jacqueline Hawkins. So Jacqueline with 142 and Dominique 112, and you're sitting at 110. And then all-time goals, you're 11 behind Jacqueline and 4 behind Dominique. So definitely something that could be reached on the all-time goals list next year.
I know. Jacqueline Hawkins actually recruited me. She was the assistant coach before I got to college. So if I beat her records, I'll definitely have to let her know.
Now, obviously, with COVID, is that kind of why you get the extra season at UConn? I know a lot of people in NCAA are getting that. So just speak on how cool that really experience is, because something you might not have gotten without this year happening.
Yeah, definitely. I think with before this year even started, like I just wanted, a full season. It was my senior year. We haven't heard anything on eligibility standards or anything like that. So I remember, being in the middle of September, October, like heavily thinking about redshirting just because I just wanted a full normal year, which wasn't look like it was going to happen with COVID. Luckily, the NCAA granted all winter sport athletes another year in addition to playing this year. So I got like the best of both worlds. I got, this COVID year, and then I got an extra whole season. So I'm very lucky. And I'm just very excited to, again, get back and get playing again.
Absolutely. Now we'll get into some team fun. Best and worst TikToker on the UConn women's hockey team.
Oh, I think both of those titles go to Siobhan Lacey. She is like our team TikTok person. Like I don't have TikTok, but I've seen her content, and it's like some of it's good, some of it's not good.
Most likely to forget something on an overnight trip.
That could be a handful of girls. My first answer would be Cam Wong. She's just kind of on her own planet. That's what we call her. Otherwise, it would be our former freshman Kat Stockdale. She's another airhead.
Loudest in the room and on the ice.
Loudest in the room. This year, again, I think it would be Siobhan Lacey. She just has a really big personality. And then her with Cam Wong is just like chaos. They're like horrible together, and they always sit next to each other in the locker room. Yeah, I'll go with those two.
Funniest moment during a game this season.
Oh God. I think there's got to be something. I can't think of one on the spot. I wish I could, because it's got to involve Savannah Boozide. It's not really that funny, but it's the one I can think of. I think when we played Providence in our first game, and we had our first shootout, our first hockey shootout, she went first, and it was the first goal in like of the shootout. And usually like you don't celebrate if it's like the first goal, but she does, and she had like the most dramatic like stick raise, and it's like an unreal picture. It's not really that it's not really that funny, but just knowing Boozy, she's definitely has some funny moments, so I have to honor her.
That's awesome. Now, as you mentioned earlier, you have two siblings. You're the youngest of them. So they both played college hockey, your sister at UConn, and then your brother was at Colgate. So just talk about the experience you had from seeing them grow up playing college hockey and then you getting the college hockey. How much have they helped you along the way?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be here without them. So they definitely pushed me to be the hockey player, the athlete, the competitor I am today. So I think with my sister, I think she was kind of the trailblazer in, girls hockey. We both played boys like squirts and like mites growing up to like kind of get going. But, to see her success in girls high school and like, going off into college and, having such a successful career, I knew I wanted to do that. So, and then with my brother, who's the middle child, I was definitely like just closer in age with him. So I remember like before elementary school, me and my brother would go in our backyard pond, and we would go practice crossovers, and he would help me skate backwards. And I remember like after school, we would we would come home, and we'd play knee hockey, and he insisted on me being goalie just so he could like shoot like the foam ball at me. And like again, we just have such dumb memories together, but being so competitive with them and like everything we do definitely helped me, be an elite hockey player. So without them, without watching them grow up and, pursuing college hockey, I definitely wouldn't be here. So it's awesome growing up in this family. It's hectic, and, sometimes you get bruised with, just doing everyday things, but it's a blast. I love them.
Now, here finally, before we wrap up, obviously you've been a huge part of USA Hockey, and the World Championships for the women get canceled a couple months ago. Obviously, there's still a go in August, but just talk about hearing that being canceled in March this year and what your first reaction kind of was.
Yeah, again, it's a bummer just because it happened last year. And, um, not to stir up some trouble, but it's just really disappointing because the men's World Juniors had a tournament, I think in Canada, maybe. Um, and then they had that before the women. So just to have like them, actually have a chance to compete and then the women's kind of get canceled, it's just kind of, disappointing to see. And again, it makes you question whether, are we really there equally in that journey? But nonetheless, it got rescheduled for August. And I know there are many people who are very happy and relieved. And yeah, I can't wait to tune into that.
Absolutely. I know as a hockey fan, as a Canadian, it definitely was kind of hard to see, especially for the women in Canada. Obviously, 6, 7 months ago, we had the World Juniors. They were safe in a bubble in Edmonton. Everything worked out there. And that's what they had in Nova Scotia this year, too. They were in a bubble. No one was like leaving the hotel. No one was going to get it. And then the day before it really starts, it just gets completely shut down. And I mean, the big thing was the under 18 tournament for the men's happened in Texas at that time and was still able to go. And I mean, I don't want to throw the IIHF under the bus, but I know there were like teams and players at that tournament that weren't wearing masks, weren't doing what they were supposed to. I mean, nothing on Team Canada, I know, because all the guys on that team that I know, but it's hard to see, especially for the women's game that's really trying to grow at this point for sure. But the other thing I want to ask is, do you think the NWHL is really helping pave a way for professional women's in hockey right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just even having that opportunity to play somewhere after college is awesome. You know, I think it's in its 5 or 6 season, and looking back, like college hockey players didn't really have an option to play after unless they wanted to go to Europe, and a lot of people don't want to do that. So just having that chance to play again competitive hockey against other girls is amazing. And I don't know what I'm going to do after college, whether it's go to Europe or play in the NWHL or join the PWHPA. Like, but to have these opportunities and these possibilities is awesome, and it definitely helps to grow the game. And I hope that one day that the two leagues can join together so we have one super league. But I think some things need to happen in between there to get to that point. But we've come really far in a short amount of time, so I'm excited to see where it takes us.
For sure. Now, before we wrap up, who's your pick to win the Stanley Cup? Do you got Tampa Bay or Montreal winning it all?
You know, I have to go with the underdog just because Tampa won it last year, so I think I'm gonna go with Montreal. But we'll
Absolutely.
see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tampa's got it. I got to give a big shout out to Pat Maroon, Alex Killorn, and Mikhail Sergachev for viewing my Instagram story last night. So I got to kind of cheer for those guys after that. They've been viewing a bunch of my stuff throughout the playoffs so far. So that's awesome for them to see that. And I appreciate the support. But thanks again, Natalie, for coming on. And for your second senior season, the victory lap. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you can shatter some of those records at UConn next season.
Well, thank you so